going in a moment. The first is how old is Madison?
Madison is 4.
4 years old. And then if you could just give your background again.
So I'm a pediatrician, and her father is a child psychiatrist. And she actually started at Victory about a month before her 4th birthday.
Okay. And what was the main reason you had for starting her?
Well, we were, anticipating her starting school, and she's a shy person, and so we wanted to bring out her confidence a little bit. And also, she had some issues with some bullying and some cousins, so we wanted to bring out her confidence in her own skills and her own rights.
Okay, good. And well, you say that because that's important, their own right. Because if a child doesn't see that they have the ability to stand up for themselves, that's where it starts.
Absolutely.
In the confidence
right.
level. Then, did you have any reservations about starting her at her age, or?
Well, as with anything, I was concerned that she wouldn't want to do it and it would be a battle. But, Ms. Bernal reassured me that, we just kind of had to go with it, and that she hadn't had anybody yet who she hadn't been able to get through. So we went with it, and there were a few challenging days, but we were able to kind of give over control to Ms. Bernal so that she could make that transition happen. And that's really, it was only a matter of weeks before it was pretty routine.
Okay. Then why do you think so many parents have a hard time giving up that control or recognizing the validation of a third party?
Well, I think especially at this age, it's still hard for us to feel like it's not our job to do it, and also it's very difficult. I think some of us feel embarrassed if our child is the one in class kind of making a lot of noise and creating a ruckus. But just like with discipline, it's important to sort of hand over that control in the appropriate environment. And when we did that with both Mr. Pope and Ms. Bernal, the response that Madison had to them was immediate compared to the bargaining that we were having to do with her.
And I think that's most parents.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's almost the default model.
Oh,
as a
very
parent,
frustrating.
is the negotiating and the bargaining.
Yes.
But unfortunately, what it teaches kids is that
they can bargain.
Exactly. And the reality is, you're the authority.
Exactly.
You and your husband, that's the ultimate authority in your child's life.
And it really did help us model that same behavior at home then with her and with discipline, was recreating that environment where we weren't bargaining.
Tell me about that. How did you make that switch from the negotiation model to more of a...
I think for me, there was a moment of clarity seeing how she responded to them in that context, where I was able to step back and go, I don't have to convince her that I am the boss. I just am. And, we had a couple of tough days where we had some difficulty with that. And then once she realized that there was no bargaining, it was a lot, more succinct. And then it took the burden off me. I felt a lot less stressed about disciplining her because I didn't feel like I had to justify it, and I was relieved that I could just say, this is how it's going to be, and this is how it is.
Exactly.
And she responded.
And so do you feel then that the transitioning, any of the difficulty that she had, was just finding out where those boundaries were?
Absolutely, and figuring out that she had to respect those boundaries.
Okay.
And then when we started school, she had a little trouble with school transition, and the same things applied. I handed over control to her teacher at the time of departure from school, and same as she did here, she was able to make that transition to that authority figure.
Right.
And so that went a lot smoother than I think it could have gone otherwise.
Then what do you feel will be the benefit of Madison learning that at this age, as she continues forward to grow academically, socially?
Well, I think the main thing is that she'll always recognize, that there is an authority, whether it's, in a different sphere of life, but also in her own self, her discipline and her self-respect, to make her recognize that her behavior in context is important, and then she can excel in that context by having that sort of introspection.
Good.
And I've noticed her pride is much better. She has a lot more pride in her accomplishments because of the way that the accomplishments are acknowledged here, not out of proportion, but proportional to the effort they put in. And so I've seen that already, that she has a good basis of really recognizing her own achievements and then recognizing them in others as well. And it's one of the things I liked the most here was the older children, not that much older, but the ones that helped her along and really patted her on the back. And she took that home and told us, Samantha was really proud of me today. And that made a difference because it was her peers as well.
Exactly.
And she does that now with her peers.
Fantastic. Then I already know the answer to this, but for my instructor or anybody that will watch this, what's your level of certainty that your daughter is going to reach black belt without question?
Oh, definitely. We're already
Yeah.
talking about, how many years it'll be. So.
Exactly. Then the final question, because this is a concern for many parents that don't have your perspective about education, about behavioral impact. Many parents hesitate in setting a long-term goal for their children, saying, what if my child doesn't want to do it, or my child's only 4 years old, how can I do a 36-month curriculum? What do you feel the value is of having that length of a time period?
Well, she's obviously not aware that there's that kind of time period on it, and she doesn't need to know that, but I know it, and so we came into this with the commitment that this was not something we were going to try, it was something we were going to do.
Yeah.
And so I think we embraced it that way, and so, the days she didn't want to go to karate, we said, well, we have to go. They're
Right.
expecting us, you have a responsibility, and we worked through it, and now it's pretty routine, she doesn't even think about it. In fact, she misses the days that she doesn't come. So,
Talk about habit.
Yeah, I think just committing to it for us.
Yeah.
Saying it's not something we're going to try. It's something we're going to do. And I hope that that's something she'll learn from this as well. It's not something we're going to try. It's
Sure.
just something we're going to accomplish.
And I imagine that was the same decision you made in your own life, academically, professionally.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the same thing for
definitely.
your husband. That you
I think
had
I've always been that way. That's been my personality, and so it was especially hard for me to know how that happened in my own life. So I want to make sure to give her, the tools to do that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Fantastic. Wonderful. Well, thank you very much.